Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, hey, hey.
There is, am I hearing the echo? No, I think I'm okay. I thought I was hearing the echo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leadership Lounge. I am super excited. I'm here again for, we're going to call it an episode, even though we haven't turned it into a show yet. You know what I mean? But just thank you guys for being here for another episode. Hey, Asia, if you're here with us live, just put hashtag live below. If you're on the replay, put hashtag replay. So I am here with my co-host, Andrea Gross, the confidence activator. And she is going to tell you guys all about our topic for today. But just to, recap or give you an introduction in case this is your first time seeing us for the Leadership Lounge, this is just a space that we created to be able to have open conversation, right?
Mhm.
Open conversation around leadership, around growing a business, being a woman, building our careers, specifically mindset, right? And how we look at things. And just having that real vulnerable conversation that a lot of times we have with our best friends behind closed doors, or a lot of time we have the conversation in our own mind with ourselves, and we wish that we had a open space, a safe space where we could talk about these things. So that's what the Leadership Lounge is all about. Okay. So my name is Neola Thorpe, marketing and income strategist for coaches, also the CEO of Market Your Message. And I'm going to go ahead and let Andrea introduce herself and our topic for tonight.
Hey, hey, hey. Like Niala said, I'm super, super, super excited to be with you again for another episode. And yes, one of the things that you mentioned briefly, Niala, is that, as women, and so I just want to acknowledge that we are in Women's History Month. That's a
Yep.
big, big, big deal.
Big
So
deal.
salute, celebrate to all the phenomenal women out there who are doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it. Right. And so I am Andrea Gross, a confidence activator. I help aspiring entrepreneurs and career professionals activate the confidence they need to create the ladders that they want, create their own opportunities for entrepreneurship. Or if you're in the corporate space, you want to make your way up the corporate ladder, it's still okay. Do you and do it some more, right? So this evening we have a very, very interesting topic that we're going to tackle. We're going to talk about, discuss, chat, whatever you want to call it. And what we're talking about this evening is comfortable and convenient at the expense of what's possible. How does that play out in our everyday lives, as we navigate the corporate space, as we make our way along the entrepreneurial trek? How many of us are being tripped up with that, or how does it affect us? How is it affecting us, and what are some of the things that we need to look for? How can we look at ourselves, like Niala said, look at the conversations that we have with ourselves, the things that we think, the lens through which we look at our world and the world that's out there, and see where comfortable and convenient is what we're having, and what is costing us is what's possible at the expense of what's possible. All right. So that's what we are going to dig into this evening. And please, please, please drop your comments. Let us get your perspective. Tell us where you find yourself, or if you've been there and you've overcome. Hey, let's hear your story. All right.
Yes, definitely. Hey,
All right.
Katrina. Hey, Katrina. Hey, Sharon. Thank you for watching. Tanya, thank you for watching. So, again, if you guys are here live, put hashtag live so we can say hello to you. And if you're on the replay, just put hashtag replay so we can come back and say thank you. Again, we want this to be a two-way conversation. So go ahead and engage with us in the comments, right? Okay, so let's get started. So go ahead, Andrea.
Alrighty. So the question I would love to start with is when we think about our own success journey, or just life's journey, because life is about growth and progress and all that good jazz. So life and success, they just kind of meet at the middle of the road. But when we think about that, what is, or what are some of the main things that cause people, you and I, other talented, hardworking individuals, to not get to where they desire to go? Because even, so many times people will seem like they're apathetic, like, I don't know what I want to do. I just gonna stick my job. I don't want to do no business. But deep down on the inside, that's not what they want. I had a conversation recently with a peer of mine, and she was talking about the fact that she's divorced, right? Has been divorced for a couple of years. Very attractive woman, brilliant woman, but she has never had a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time we had a conversation. I said, "What you have? You going on a date?" And she's like, "Me, like never in a million years." But yet, what she was saying is that I really don't want to be alone. I really don't enjoy being lonely. You know what I'm saying? But I just haven't done anything about it, right? And so
Okay.
the thing that I think stands in the way of most people who are talented and ambitious but still get stuck is the fact that it's not that they don't want stuff, but they don't do anything about getting the stuff that they want. But the question is why. So let's use an example. Nyala, the queen of stories. let's use an example. So Sally, we'll call her Sally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not a very innovative name, but Sally.
That's
Let's look
okay.
at Sally, right? Sally's in a job and she doesn't like her job. She's
Right.
miserable. Okay.
Right.
She's miserable because she feels she's not getting what she's worth. She's not being
Mm-hmm.
paid well. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Sally is a talented girl. She's doing well at where she's at, but Sally refuses to go out, put a resume out there. And
Mm-hmm.
so she gives herself all the reasons why it just makes sense for her to just stick this. So
Mm-hmm.
one, they're not going to fire me. They're not going to fire me because they need me, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not paying me. They're not valuing me. I'm not growing. You know what I'm saying? But what?
Mm-hmm.
I know them. I know what it's about. I know they're not going to fire me. So what does Sally do? She settles. She settles because it's comfortable. I know my
Right.
hood. You know what I'm saying? People say, I know my
Right.
hood. So she knows her neck of the woods and she'd rather just sit here rather than go out there because she thinks if she goes out there, one, she may not get a job and then she doesn't have a job. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
she may meet a supervisor that, is even worse than the one that she has. But
Right.
what I'm saying is that all of that is settling for what's comfortable. It's convenient. I can pay my
Yeah.
bills. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
can pay my light, I can pay my rent, but I can't live. I'm existing, but I'm not living. And that's what we want to talk about this evening. How so many people get trapped in that cycle of
Yeah.
settling for what's convenient, what's comfortable, and forgetting what's possible.
Mm-hmm. So why would you think that? And again, if you guys are here with us live, just say hello so we can say hello to you. Why do you think that happens? Because what it sounds like you're saying, which I believe a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
do struggle with. I see
Mm-hmm.
that with
Mm-hmm.
I've been in those different times in different spaces or different phases
Mm-hmm.
of my life, and I know also that people who I work with, I've seen that difficulty, or I guess that space that they end up in. So why do you think this happens? Why do you think that people forget about what's possible, and they rather stay in that comfortable space, knowing, right, that what they really need is to get uncomfortable. What they really need is to go after the things that they desire, but yet they forfeit what's possible, or they make excuses to not go after what's possible. Why do you think that happens?
I think a lot of that is rooted in fear,
Yeah.
fear of failure. I'm here, I'm comfortable, but not I'm comfortable because I'm able to get by. I'm able to get by. So there's fear of failure. There's fear of other people's opinions. Okay. So if I went and told my siblings, my parents back in the day when I was thinking entrepreneurship, that hey, I'm gonna quit a job and I'm gonna go and start my own business. There is not one that I can think of in my family who would have told me, yes, go ahead and do it. Probably my
Okay.
dad. Probably my dad may have done that. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
the culture, the way we are cultured is that you stick to what's safe. Don't be irrational. People will say, don't be irrational, and
Yeah.
don't hang your hat further than you can reach it. So there's fear of other people's opinion. There's fear of failure. There's also lack of confidence in their own abilities, right? And what does that come down to? Self-awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are also people who allow other people's actions or people's opinions to dictate what they do. So a lot of that happens in workplaces where there is passive sabotage, or what do you call that thing again? Abuse. Because there are employers or supervisors or leaders, not those are not leaders, those are managers who will almost subliminally make their employees feel that this is the best that there is for you. You know what I'm saying? So don't even bother think about leaving because you so and so, or they dumb down your contribution to the organization so much that you begin to feel that there's not a lot of work that you bring to the table. But like the example I use with Sally, they're not letting you go. They're not letting you go because they have your services and they have it for cheap. You know what I'm saying? And they realize that you don't recognize your own worth. You haven't recognized your own worth. So, hey, it works for me. Let's keep it. She may have an attitude every other week and so on, but if I threaten enough that I'm going to write her up or whatever, I know she doesn't want to leave a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the things that cause people to stick in that place where they tell themselves that they're comfortable, because it's really not comfortable. You know what I'm saying? They tell themselves that it's comfortable, but it's more convenient. It's convenient. So I'd rather stick with this than experience the discomfort that comes with change, because change is uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Change is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. It's necessary because if we don't change, we can't grow. If we don't change,
I say, if you don't change, if you're not changing, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. I hear that all the time. But for me, it's like, pick the lesser evil. Like, things are always going. It's like, do you stay comfortable, right? And live every day beating yourself up because you know what's possible and you're not going after it. And so, is that the first way that you want to live? Or do you get uncomfortable and go after your possibility? As far as I'm concerned, they're both going to bring some type of uncomfortableness to you, but the reward is different when you go after what's possible versus you still beat yourself up. And then, what's the positive that comes from that, right? It's like, so pick your poison. I'd rather be uncomfortable and have a greater reward than be uncomfortable and literally go through my life feeling like I'm not accomplishing anything that I really want to accomplish, feeling like if I'm a failure, right? Like all the things that people go through, all the mental things that they go through when they are, I like to say, aborting their assignment, just forgetting what it's on their heart. Because that when you have like this desire to do something better, you're talking about Sally in terms of, this person wants to get a better position at their job or whatever. For me, I talk about entrepreneurship because I feel like entrepreneurship is the vehicle that people are using to be able to better their lives, whether it's financially, whether, right? And so when you think about people like that, it's I kind of forgot my thought. As I'm going through it, I kind of forgot my thought. But it'll come back to me. Okay, so it'll come back to me as we're speaking. Okay, so here's the question that I have that I believe will be valuable. The answer will be valuable to anybody who's listening to us. So what does one do when they're in that situation and they are struggling to get past that feeling of convenience and comfortability? What is it that they do to go after what's possible?
But the first thing is being able to identify it, because the truth is, when you get stuck in a place like that for a long time, you don't even recognize it anymore because it becomes your norm, right? So we could sit here and we could say, it's a lesser evil. Why would you not take the discomfort of stepping ahead? But some people genuinely have gotten to a place where they are in a state of apathy and they're not even thinking of going ahead, because they don't feel that they no longer see what's possible. You understand what I'm saying? And
so how do you get them to see what's possible? That's what I'm trying to get to. What's the solution? Because we got it. We know that. I think that majority of people, right? And you tell me what you think, right? So I think that majority of people already know that they're playing small. They already know that they're staying comfortable. They already know that they're choosing what's convenient, right? So it's like, what do you do when you are aware that you are aware, right? Like I know there are people who's unaware, but what do you do when you are aware and every day you're getting up wanting to do something different, but your complacency or whatever you want to call it is keeping you back? What's the actions that you take?
Okay, so first off, like you said, there's some people who are aware. I believe that a good majority is not, right? But if you
Okay.
see, yeah, I believe that. I honestly
Okay.
believe that. And the reason is that so many of us, when we get into that space, because I've been there, we wear the badge of victim. So it's everybody else's fault. It's what my boss didn't do, what my mom didn't do, and so on. So it's hard to see through that. But let's say you saw it, all right? Let's say you see it and you're like, okay, I'm here. How the hell do I get out of here? The first thing that we have to recognize is that us doing better is never just about us. Me doing better is never just about me. And when that drive, that passion to do more, to be more, to have more, gets bigger than me, that's what will propel you to go forward. You understand what I'm saying? So the fact, and when I say it's not about me, look here, man, there are people right now who wish that they were living the life that some of us are living, or that they had the opportunities. So when we have opportunities and we sit on it, when you have people who are talented, they're good at crafts, or they're good at speaking, or they're good at writing and so on, and you choose to sit down on that gift. You understand what I'm saying? You have to think that the decisions that you make today, they don't just affect you today. Yes, you can cruise and go home and Netflix and chill for the next 6 months, but you're writing what your future is going to be for the next 5-10 years. You know what I'm saying? And the opportunities that you can take advantage of, or that may be open to you now, could very well not be open to you 5-10 years from now. How many of us saw COVID coming? We didn't see COVID coming. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that were norm for us are no longer. You know what I'm saying? So there's got to be a stirring on the inside, an urgency, a desire to see the world not just from your close perspective, but to see what's happening outside of you. You know what I'm saying? And to want to, in some way, impact or influence your wider circle. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I had just wrapped up my challenge last week. And whenever we teach messaging, we say, where there's no meaning, there's no message. And that's because, I always feel like your message is that deeper meaning behind why you do what you do. And usually it's to impact humanity, to impact your family, to impact others. It's usually that, it's basically what you're saying. It's that deeper desire to want to create change and impact people or the world. Yes. And so that's what pushes you to go against the grain. That's what pushes you to go against what's comfortable. And I really, really, I can firsthand tell you that I know what that feels like. It's like I think about my whole experience in the last couple of years and how people would ask me, well, Niala, what made you still be able to show up every day and share your journey as these things were happening? Because that's something that most people would be uncomfortable with. Most people would feel like, I'm going to go. And for me, it's because the reason why is there's a deeper meaning. I want to inspire people. I want anybody who's connected to me to inspire them and let them see that no matter what they are facing in their life, in their business, in their homes, in their jobs, whatever it is, like there's possibility, right? And by you watching and seeing me experience these tough things, but still showing up every day to even inspire you is like, wow, if she can have that strength, I can have that strength too. If she can keep dreaming, I can keep dreaming too. You see what I'm saying? So that deeper meaning, it is important. And I do think that when people tap into that, that's also something that stops them from quitting. I often say, and you could just tell me if you've heard, I think you've heard me say this before. I've often said that even the times that I've felt like quitting on this journey, my people is who have encouraged me to keep going, not by words, not that anyone has called and said, hey, Niala, keep going, but by the feeling and, like you said, the want and the urgency and the desire
Yes.
of wanting to help these people, that
Yes.
I know that if I quit, what would
Mhm.
that do for them? And that's that deeper
Yes.
meaning that I believe you're talking about.
Right. And when it gets to that point, it's beyond money. It's beyond money,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And one of the things
And you
that you
know what?
mentioned. Mhm.
Sorry.
Go
Go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
We
I
do
got
this
you.
all the time, guys. And you know what? You're right about that, because again, for me, I feel like a lot of times when we have this conversation, you have it from a, a more mindset corporate space, whereas
Mhm.
I have it more from the small business entrepreneur CEO space.
Right,
And
right,
for
right.
me, I feel like a lot, because I work with people to help them grow their business, a lot of them are so focused on the money, and that's why they can't make money, and they forget
Mm.
to think about that reason why they're doing what they're doing. Because I remember times when I was doing this for nothing. Like,
Yes.
there's so many people who are coaching for free, right, who are
Mm.
sharing
Mhm.
their knowledge for free, because
Mhm.
why? There's a deeper desire to
Mhm.
want to help people. And so when they approach that business that way, wanting to serve and wanting to give and not thinking about the money, the money ends up being the reward to that.
That's
You know
right.
what I
That's
mean? But
right.
if you go with it with the mindset of I want to make money, that's why when you don't make money, you're easy to quit. When you don't make
Mm.
money, you start doubting yourself more. When you
Mhm.
don't make money, you look at it as a loss. You look at it as something is wrong with me, and
That's right.
it affects how you show up and when you show up and all of that. So I love that you mentioned that, because the truth is, when we are looking to impact the world and step into this
Mm.
leadership, it is not attached to money. We're never going into it for money. We're going into it for the change that we're going to create. At least I hope that that's what, if you guys are going in for that, you're listening to us, let us know below. If that's what you're hoping to do and that's the journey you're on, let us know below. Because I know for me, it's, it's never about the money. It
And
can't be about the money.
right, and let's be clear, because I could just hear some people saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," but you're still charging the big tickets and all of that. Listen, the point is, when you go into it for the impact and the difference that you can make in people's lives and the change that you can create, if you do that, and when you do that, you earn the right to be paid for it. You understand
Yep.
what I'm saying? But that can't be the driving force. It can't be that, okay, you know something, I'm down on my rent. So you know something, let me just put a course out. Let me put a download out so I can pay my rent. You'll never be the quality coach or the quality entrepreneur, even if you're selling trinkets, right? You're not going to be the quality entrepreneur that can say, hey, I built a solid and successful business. Now, the other thing you
Mhm.
touched on briefly, Nyala, was dreaming. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that a lot of us have kind of started to poo poo on having big dreams because of the way dreams have been sold. You know, this whole storybook thing, girl goes to her bed and she dreams that she meets this handsome guy and he sweeps her off to Switzerland and all of that foolery. That's not what we're talking about. It's about you looking at your life and saying, okay, if everything that's in my heart, if everything that I've ever desired to do, if all the things that I've ever envisioned for my life and I've put them aside, if all those things were to be manifested today, what would my life look like? What are
Yeah.
some of the things that I would be doing? What are some of the things that I would want to do? Where are the lives that I would touch? You know what I'm saying? How would I take care of my family? You know, what are some of the things that I would do? You know, so that's what I believe that can be also a catalyst. You know, if people would just sit for a moment, just get out of the Netflix and that series and all of that restless. I don't know if they're still even around. You know, get out of that for a minute and just get in tune with yourself, you know,
Hmm.
and say, okay, what is the life that I desire? How would
Yeah.
I want to live? Do I want to be going from paycheck to paycheck? Do I want to be struggling? Do I want to be having to tell my kids no? Do I want to be not able to take care of my elderly parents? You know, do I want to leave them on their own because I just can't do it? Because if you can think about stuff like that, then the next thing you ought to think about is, okay, what can I do today? What's the one thing that I can do that I can use to begin to make a difference for me first?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you can't create change in you, you can't create change for anybody else.
Yeah.
So can we broaden our minds and decide that we can dream again, give ourselves permission to
Yeah.
dream again, you know?
Yeah.
But as we give
Mhm.
ourselves that permission, also take the responsibility to bring those dreams to life,
Yeah.
And I believe if we can do that, we will move from that place, we will welcome discomfort. We will welcome discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So, as always, we try to keep this less than 30 minutes, but as always, I like to just end it with making sure we give you 3 clear points that you could walk away from this conversation with. And of course, again, if you're here live, leave your comments below. If you're on the replay, just put #replay. Feel free to share your perspective with us. Feel free to share your strategies and your advice that you would give someone who may be in a place of comfortability, or who may be, forgetting the possibilities that's out there, right? Okay, so give us 3. I would say, from what I've heard, the first thing is to be aware.
Be aware.
So the first thing is to strive to become self-aware. When you're thinking about even mindset, when you hear people who talk about mindset, the first thing they would say to you is, you got to start learning how to pay attention to what you say, pay attention to what you do, pay attention to the things that trigger you, so that way you can start to change the scenario, change the narrative, change the words and the way you look at things, right? And so that's what I would think would be the first tip. You got to work on becoming more self-aware. And when you find yourself in the space of being comfortable, not, hiding, whatever it is that you do, right? To stay and remain in your comfort zone, being aware. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2 is broaden your vision.
Okay.
Broaden your vision. Begin to see more for yourself. Begin to accept that you deserve more. And like I always say, it takes a village to raise a kid, but it also takes a community to birth dreams. So be very intentional about who you attach yourself to, the circles that you find yourself a part of, because if they're not serving, if they're not helping to push you and to agitate you to do better, to be more, to have more, to do more, then you need to begin to look for a community that will support you.
I'm glad that you
Go ahead.
Hold on to your number 3. I'm glad that you said that, because that brings me to probably the second thing that I think would happen. What happens to people a lot of times is that they listen to, shows like this or lives like this, and, something touches them, but then they go back to themselves and they're like, okay, so be more aware. I got that. Okay, broaden my vision. I got that. But how do I broaden my vision? And then I'm glad that you brought that up in terms of being in communities, because I know that a lot of times, and it kind of, a lot of times when you're on this journey of wanting more, to create change, to create impact, a lot of times it feels lonely. A lot of times it's hard to dream big if the people around you aren't big dreamers either, right? And so you got to keep up all the dreaming for everybody around you. And sometimes that's really hard to do. And so that's when you need to tap into your communities. That's why we even have spaces like here where you're watching this. If you're in the Female Coaches Society, I know Andrea's group, Activation Nation, these are places where there are spaces where people are broadening their vision, where people are having these type of conversations, where people are on the journey that you're on, and that helps you see what's possible, right? Okay, number 3.
Before I do that, there's one other thing. I know a lot of people are on social media and the whole thrust is who follows me. But I heard an influencer say this the other day, and I thought he was just so spot on. Don't just think about the followers that you get, but who are you following? You know what I'm saying? Who are you following? Because that's what's going to influence your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions, Yes. So let's be using social media to our benefit. And the final thing is, be willing, be prepared. Get some tough skin, man, and be prepared to be the hero of your own story. Be prepared to become the hero of your own story. Heroes are not remembered for what they went through, for what they suffered, but they're remembered for what they came through. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what the situation is looking like around you, regardless of what you don't have, man, you can do more than you're doing now. You can do more than you're doing now, but you have to want to. You know what I'm saying? You have to want to inside of intention. What is my end goal? Where am I heading? What is it that I want? And that's tied to vision again, but not be so quick to just throw the towel in and to give up, and the first person that criticizes you or says your idea is a bad idea. Yeah, it may be a bad idea at its infancy, but as you move along, you're going to get more clarity. You're going to get more direction. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a clearer understanding of how to get to where you want to go. So own that. Yeah. I am and I will be the hero of my story. And it means that it may not be easy. It's not going to be easy. Let me say that. Yeah. But it's worth it. And because it's worth it, I'm going to fight for it.
Yeah. Okay. Woo. On that note, we're going to end for today. That was amazing. So again, thank you guys for joining us for another Alive in the Leadership Lounge. And again, if you're on the replay and you want to continue the conversation, you have something that you want to share, feel free to comment below and we'll continue the conversation going. Like we said when we first started this, I believe this is like our third time meeting. Mm-hmm. We're committed to coming every other week just to have these open conversations. If this is something you like, we want your feedback. So we want to know, is this something you're enjoying? Do you have some topics you want to talk about? Do you want to come on the show and have a roundtable discussion? We're open to all of that, right? So we just want to know if this is something that is being valuable to you. So we'll know if we need to continue it or if we need to tweak it in a way that makes it more valuable to you, okay? Exactly. All right. So thank you so much, guys, and we will see you again next time.
Awesome.